All right. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Cool Beans Hot Stuff. This is my new Twitch channel. This is actually only my third day streaming. That's how new I am at this. So if you're watching this video, which at this moment I probably don't have anybody watching the Twitch except for my girlfriend. She always watches my Twitches, so she's sweet like that. But this will be on YouTube. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, thanks for watching. This channel, we basically just sit, hang out, and research things that I think are cool. That's kind of why I started the channel. I thought it was like, how cool would it be to have a channel where I just get to sit, hang out, and research all the stuff that I'm interested in, and then share that with people. And maybe some people out there will find the channel, be like, oh, wow, this is some cool shit. I like this too. And they'll jump in and tune in to hear me talk about random shit. Today is Wednesday, so this is our first Wednesday. All Wednesdays on this channel are Wildlife Wednesdays. So that's kind of self-explanatory. We go over anything wildlife related. I like animals. I hope you like animals. Everybody likes animals. Who doesn't like animals? I like animals, and I want to learn a little bit more about all the crazy shit that exists in the animal kingdom and nature. There's so much cool stuff out there to look into, and I don't know even a tiny little fraction of it. So this is a good opportunity for me to learn about animals, learn about all the crazy shit out there, like platypuses. Platypuses are cool. Today is not about platypuses. This is about something different. But we'll definitely have an episode about platypuses. To be honest, I started Wildlife Wednesdays just so one day I could do an entire 2-hour stream on platypuses because they're so dope. But any cool animals like that, because there's so many of them, and never run out of fresh material for cool shit. If you haven't seen my previous streams, this last Monday was my first stream. All Mondays are mental health Mondays, where I go over like a mental health, personal growth topic. This last Monday, I went over, cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you're interested in what that is, or you want to hear more about that, that was a pretty cool stream. So check that out. That'll be on the YouTube, and the VOD will be on Twitch. And then yesterday, Tuesdays are terrifying Tuesdays. And yesterday we went over the Bretzius family and Dutch magic. So if you're one of those pagan witchy types and you like that kind of stuff, check that stream out, because that was a pretty fun stream too. And today we're going to go over, for our first Wildlife Wednesdays, the Jabba Fofi. If you look up here, I got it on the screen. Oop, we clicked out of that. The Jabba Fofi, for those of you that don't know what it is, well, that's what we're going to get into. The Jabba Fofi is a big-ass, giant, scary-ass spider that may or may not exist. This is a cryptid. To those who don't know what a cryptid is, cryptids, cryptozoology, it's the study of like hidden animals, and cryptids are things like Bigfoot, Loch Ness, or in this case, a big-ass giant spider. I am a huge fan of cryptozoology, so I wanted to take one Monday every month to go over some new cryptid, some aspect of cryptozoology, something like that, because I thought that'd be fun. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First, let's go over what the fuck is a Jabba Fofi. Well, the Jabba Fofi, also known as the Congolese giant spiders, are a type of large arachnid cryptid which is said to inhabit the forests of the Congo, possibly representing a new species of arachnida. And that's not a picture of it. That's just a random picture that everybody associates with it. If it looked like that, that'd be even more terrifying than what it is. Description. Most of the many anecdotal tales describe spiders digging a shallow tunnel under tree roots and camouflaging it with large screens of leaves. They then create an almost invisible web between their burrow and a nearby tree, stringing the whole area with a network of trip lines. Some oblivious animal that's likely to soon end up on the creature's menu will trip the line, alerting the spider. The victim will then be chased into the web. This type of predatory behavior is similar to that of several species of trapdoor spiders. So it's essentially a big-ass trapdoor spider. How big is it? We'll get into that. Natives claim the Jabba Fofi eggs are a pale yellow white and shaped like peanuts, and the hatchlings are bright yellow with a purple abdomen. The coloration becomes darker and brown as they mature. Some of the peoples indigenous to the regions in the Congo where the Jabba Fofi has been seen assert that the spider was once quite common but has since become very rare. And this is history and sightings. We will get to that here in a minute. But yeah, so that's the gist of it. Funny enough, I don't actually think this went over how big it's actually supposed to be, which is kind of the whole point of the cryptid, right? It's not just a spider, it's a big ass spider. I think the general just that everybody says it's about 5 foot leg span is what it's supposed to have. I don't know. I got a really nice YouTube video here that will inform us of the matter, though. So let's go ahead and check this out. Yeah, we'll play the intro. Let's just go ahead and play the whole thing.
A horrifying spectacle. Its existence shocks and fascinates the world of science. Its gigantic claws capable of crushing a man or tearing a woman apart as if she
This
were
is
a
actually
fly.
footage from an old, like, I think it's 1950s movie.
But
I forget the name of it.
Like the presence
It's not
of
about the
out-of-this-world
Jabba
horror.
Fofi, but this is an actual movie, though.
The spider. Hunters of insects, small reptiles, and even birds. But what if I told you that there were spiders big enough to hunt humans? Step into the mysterious world of the Jabba Fofi, also recognized as the Congolese giant spiders. These colossal arachnid cryptids are whispered to roam the depths of Congo's forests, potentially unveiling a new and undiscovered species within the realm of arachnida. But is there any real evidence of their existence? And has anyone
There's that
befallen
picture that
their
they always
treacherous
use
webs?
right there.
Let's try and find out.
That, oh, we'll let this ads play. That image that you just saw that they use pretty regularly for the Jabba Fofi, that was that first image on that cryptid website I showed you guys. That's actually from a movie called Arachnid, I believe it's called. It's actually a really good movie. It's really fucking freaky. Obviously, they have giant spiders in it, giant ticks, giant centipedes. I don't know if centipedes are considered arachnids, but they have them in there. Yeah, check that movie out if you ever get a chance. It's got really good practical effects in it. And if you're not a fan of spiders, that movie will freak you the fuck out. Okay, let's continue. Oh, we need the sound.
Corps veteran and filmmaker, and we will try to answer these questions on today's episode of Forgotten History.
I go to this channel quite a bit, Forgotten History. If you guys have never heard of it, it's a really good YouTube channel. They go through all kinds of shit. Apparently even giant spiders, Civil War. If you're a fan of history, you'll like this channel. So this right here is supposedly some footage. We'll go back over this footage and talk about it a little bit, but this is supposedly a sighting of the Jabba Fofi right here.
In the myriad of accounts, the spider's tactics unfold. They craft shallow tunnels beneath tree roots, shrouding them with a leafy facade. Their near-invisible webs connect these burrows to nearby trees, weaving a complex network of trip lines. Oblivious prey, unsuspecting, and destined for the creature's menu, unwittingly trigger these lines.
Does all of
signaling the
this sound
spider to
familiar?
come. Once alerted, the chase ensues, culminating in the victim ensnared within the intricate web.
We just
This
read all of that off of the
predatory
wiki.
behavior echoes the tactics observed in various species of trapdoor spiders, showcasing a cunning and strategic approach to hunting.
I've noticed, just going to pause this for a second, fair use laws and all. Whenever I'm researching a lot of shit on the internet, you'll notice there's certain articles and videos, surprisingly a lot of YouTubers, that are literally just word for word reading the exact same articles that you're reading when you're researching stuff. It's kind of unfortunate. It's kind of sad. We actually got a really good video tomorrow on the dead internet theory. That's kind of about that, how there's really no new information on the internet. Everybody's just parroting what's already been put there, and a lot of what's been put there was just put there by AI, which is kind of a crazy thought. So we'll dive into that tomorrow. But you should have, if you were listening, you should have picked up on like, hey, wow, this guy sounds just like Tony. It's because this fucker copied me.
According
That's
to
why.
the locals of Congo, the Jabba Fofi eggs are described as pale yellow-white, resembling peanuts, while their hatchlings display a striking hue, bright yellow with a purple abdomen. As these creatures mature, their coloration gradually deepens into a darker
That's from the movie
shades of
Arachnid.
brown. The indigenous communities residing in the Congo regions where the Jabba Fofi sightings occur, affirm that these spiders were once abundant but have since dwindled to a remarkably rare status. However, throughout recorded history, sightings of the Jabba Fofi have been plentiful, and one of the first sightings from a Westerner was from an English missionary, Arthur John Symes, and Symes met an end more horrific than any other in the 1890s. Arthur Symes was trekking through the jungle near Lake Nyassa. He and his men had been warned about the spiders, but they paid the warnings no mind. Suddenly, his men got tangled in a thick web. While Arthur and the others tried extricating their comrades, a pair of massive spiders rushed out of the foliage. Some of the missionaries were killed, and Arthur himself was badly bitten, but he brandished his pistol and filled the spider full of lead. Symes managed to escape the encounter with what was left of his men. The spiders, who were clearly against converting to Christianity, retreated for a while before returning to consume the fallen missionaries. After much of a struggle, Symes finally made it to the nearby village. He was badly swollen around the bite wound, and a fever soon set in. Symes recorded the incident before he grew delirious with fever and slipped into a coma. He preached his last gospel and died in his bed.
This is real life footage, by the way. Oh, they got it right there. They copied me. Should pay me royalties for this video.
Another account is chronicled by George Ebhart.
I don't know what
seminal
movie that's from.
Cryptozoological book.
That was definitely from a movie. I've never seen that movie before. On a different note, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the movie Arachnophobia. Some of the people who watch this, I've always heard, I don't know for sure, but I've always heard Twitch has a much younger audience, like Gen Z audience. I'm a millennial. So millennials, we grew up with Arachnophobia back in the day, in the 90s. And man, that was such a good fucking movie. When I was a little kid, you know, all the other little kids played Superman and Ghostbusters. I played Arachnophobia. I ran around killing giant spiders. And yeah, that movie had a scene right at the beginning where they're in, like, I don't think they're in the Congo. They're in like the rainforest in, I think, South America, searching for spiders and shit. And some guy gets tangled up in a big giant web in between trees and gets stuck in it. And that's kind of what this story, you'll pick up the similarities between that story and the movie, you know, here and there. I don't know much about this guy. I already forgot his name. The guy who supposedly seen the first Jabba Fofi, or Jabba Fofi as they pronounced it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but however, I like Jabba Fofi better. It kind of sounds like a Star Wars character. Yeah, so you'll just notice some similarities between the movie and some other different spider movies and this guy's story. I thought that was kind of funny, entertaining. Anyways, yeah, if you haven't seen that movie, if you are Generation Z and you haven't seen Arachnophobia, you need to get on that shit. That was such a great fucking movie. Okay, let's continue the video.
In his work, Ebhart recounts a harrowing incident involving an English couple, R.K. Lloyd and his wife, as they traveled the jungles of the Congo in 1938. Encountering a massive creature crossing their path, initially mistaken for a cat or a monkey, they soon realized it was a colossal spider, boasting legs spanning nearly 3 feet. Yet another tale comes from a renowned cryptozoologist, William J. Gibbons, known for his pursuit in the fabled Congolese dinosaur, the Mokele Membe, and was embarked on his third expedition in search of this legendary creature. During his quest, Gibbons encountered local natives who shared their vivid encounters with gigantic spiders. Upon returning to Canada, he passionately conveyed these indigenous experiences to his readers. Gibbons shared, "During my third expedition in equatorial Africa, I seized the chance to inquire among the pygmy communities about knowledge regarding such colossal spiders, and to my surprise, they are well acquainted with the Jabba Fofi, or the giant or great spider. Their vivid descriptions depicted these spiders as predominantly brown, with a distinctive purple marking on their abdomens. These creatures grow to an astonishing size, boasting a leg span of at least 5 feet. The
There you
formidable
go.
arachnids
That's where I heard
construct
that.
elaborate layers resembling traditional pygmy huts, woven together with leaves, and are known to spin robust circular webs between trees, often across game trails," Gibbons detailed. "They are formidable predators, preying upon smaller forest antelope, birds, and other small game, wielding both danger and a potent venom." He continued, "According to the pygmies, These spiders lay clusters of white, peanut-sized eggs. While the locals steer clear when encountering them, they have, in the past, eliminated these giants. Once abundant, these colossal spiders have now become a rarity in sightings. In March 2013, a video surfaced on YouTube of an...
We might save this for later. That's the actual video. We'll go over these videos ourselves, talk about them. Let's continue.
Force being converted to houses and industrial centers. For those who have contended with the spider, the now rarity of these creatures is a blessing for them. Officially, the largest species of spider is the Goliath bird eater, with a leg span of up to 12 inches.
Yeah, those things are already scary enough.
As we conclude this exploration
you don't need
into
anything
the
scarier than
mysterious
that.
realm of the Fofi, the Congolese giant spiders, their existence remains a captivating enigma.
Okay, we're good. So you get the gist of it. There's a couple different cryptozoologists that have claimed to have seen this guy. They're generally the source of all of the information regarding the Fofi or Fofi. I'm going to go with mine, Fofi. That's better. Most of the information regarding the Fofi comes from these 2 or 3 guys who have claimed to have seen it in Africa, and none of them have any video or pictures. There is videos and pictures, and we're going to go over some of those right now and see what you think about them. To anybody who's watching this live, I don't know, I don't have my Twitch up to see who's watching it live. If anybody is watching this live, I do have a poll set up. If you click on there should be a little, I think it's a plus sign on the right side of your screen. There's a poll where it asks you if you believe in the Fofi. So when we're all said and done and you've seen all the information that exists, you can decide for yourself if you think it's real or not. So here's the 3 main videos that people have been sharing for the last several years on YouTube. Somebody a year ago, the Mudnag is the name of this channel. It's a smaller channel. I don't know what else they do. Looks like they do cryptozoology type stuff. So if you like this kind of stuff, go check out their website or check out their YouTube. This is the 3 main videos that were circulating around YouTube that served as evidence for the supposed existence of these giant ass spiders. Okay, so let's check this out. Video 1. So I don't know about you, but that's convincing. I believe it. That's a big giant ass spider if I've ever seen one. That was video 1, by the way. So, okay, you know, all jokes aside, that's some 90s ass shit right there. That's some pretty horrible graphics. They tried. They tried. It was an admirable try. This is video 2. And that's video 2. First time you show anybody that video, they're like, what the fuck was I looking at? Well, what you were looking at was right here. Let's play it again. It's super fast. See this dark shadow? That's supposedly a spider. Let's play it again. A little bit better graphics, not gonna lie. They tried a little harder that time. Did a little bit better job of throwing that spider in there. Let's see video number 3. Ah, this is that trail cam video. My girlfriend doesn't believe this video. This was the most concrete evidence. I gave it to her, and she was like, nah. You know, she made a good point, though. Watch the spider when it leaves. It kind of, like, goes into the shadows, and the shadows, it almost kind of disappears, the back end of it. It doesn't actually just leave. It kind of just, like, bloop, disappears out of existence. Check it out. Look at his butt. See? It is kind of funky. My girlfriend called that one. It's funky. It's odd. So those are the 3 main videos. I think we can attest to number 1 is probably full of shit. I'm just going to go ahead and go out on a limb here. Whoever did that needs to work on their graphic skills. This guy right here is a little bit more convincing. You know, you can't really, there's no point in which you can pause a video to see just how realistic that spider actually looks in there. But it looks big enough. Again, you know, they're talking about a spider with a 5-foot leg span. That ain't it. You know, that's still a big, if that's a spider, that's still a big ass fucking spider, right? And it don't look like no rabbit. I'll tell you that. But yeah, see, that looks more like a spider right there. But maybe that's a baby Jabal Fofi. It's probably just a baby. And then this one right here, you know, honestly, I'd say they did a good job with the graphics on this. Like, that looks pretty legit right up until that point where it exits. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know, make from it what you will. I can tell you that first one, I don't believe that, but those other two, man, I don't know. Pretty inconclusive to me. Could still be a thing. Okay, let's see. What do we have next? So there was the sightings and evidence. What was this webpage supposed to be? Well, videos. Oh, yeah. Okay. So these go over the sightings again. The best known sighting was at 1938. So this has been a while that this supposed giant spider has been a thing. They've been talking about it for a while. This first guy, Reginald Lloyd, and his wife, Margaret, that was probably the best sighting, or at least the most recorded sighting. This is what some of the critics are saying about it, just so you can kind of get an idea. Carl Schucker points out that although the Jabal Fofi's habitat is remote enough to hide it from science, the tracheal respiratory system of arachnids, which cannot transport oxygen throughout such a large organism, would prevent a normal spider from reaching such sizes in modern times. Excuse me. I need to get better at hitting that mute button. I actually got like a little throat and ear infection thing, man. I've been working 2 months, been working up to doing this stream, right? Putting the computer together, putting my Twitch together and all my social medias, and putting together note cards for all my streams and shit to be all professional like and such. And very first week, Monday, go to start the stream for the first time, and bam, throat and ear infection. So it's how it always goes. Anyways, okay. Basically, Carl Schucker believes that the respiratory system for an arachnid couldn't get this big. He writes that if a giant spider does thrive in some secluded, far-off realm, it must have evolved a radically different, much more advanced respiratory system, not just a greatly enlarged body. One precedent for such a respiratory system is the coconut crab, which can attain a leg span of 3 feet. Those things are pretty freaky. Actually, let's throw up a picture of one of these fucking coconut crabs, man. These things are spooky. We might do a video just on coconut crabs, because they're pretty wild. They're actually kind of funny, too. If you watch videos of these guys, they, like, steal people's shit. Okay, so here, check it out. That's a pretty big crab. You know, I don't know if that's bigger than any other crab you regularly see. But you can see him hooked onto these trees. That's a pretty famous picture of one. Wrapped around a big-ass tree. I guess you don't really know how big-ass that tree is. There's always one on a trash can. That's a pretty infamous picture of coconut crabs. Here, let's... Coconut crabs... Trash can. Here it is. So that's a big motherfucker, right? That, if you went to go throw the trash out and that shit was sitting there waiting for you, you wouldn't throw that trash out. You'd leave it in the house. Didn't matter how bad it smelled. That's a freaky crab. If you watch videos of coconut crabs, though, which maybe one day we'll do a stream on them, they're pretty funny. They're pretty kooky little shits. Like, people regularly, because they don't hurt people, obviously. They don't know what the fuck you are. They don't really care. They don't eat people. But they love shiny things. So tourists will be, like, lying on the beach sleeping, and coconut crabs will run up and, like, grab their fucking towel or grab their fucking drink or grab their picnic basket and run away with it. Like, like they're stealing everybody's shit. They're little thieves. But so coconut crabs, as this website was saying, coconut crabs have evolved a branchiostegal branchiostegal lung, which allows it to live on land despite its size. Another theory is that giant spiders, such as the Jabal Fofi, are in fact giant terrestrial crustaceans similar to these coconut crabs, although Shucker is skeptical of this, noting that crustaceans are very different in appearance from spiders, due in no small way to their instantly visible chellae. I don't know what a chellae is, but we'll take his word for it. But in 1938, some dude and his wife, they saw a big ass giant coconut crab crossing the fucking road the size of a car. They wouldn't, know the difference. They'd just be like, what the fuck? Anybody would. You wouldn't look too deep into it. You wouldn't stop the car to be like, I wonder if that's a coconut crab. No, you wouldn't give a shit. You would be out of there, right? You would either run that fucker over or reverse in the opposite direction. And same with the Congolese tribe that supposedly talks about this. That's one thing. As I looked into this, the Baka people. The Baka people is a tribe of pygmies that first initially reported the Jabba Fofi. And truth is, man, when you go try to look for some like actual Baka accounts of this thing, they're nowhere to be found. And that's, probably has a lot to do with the fact that they probably don't have internet. But still, nobody has like walked up to a Baka person with a microphone and be like, so tell us about these giant spiders. For all we know, the Baka people are like, I don't know, y'all white people keep talking about this shit, but we don't know what the fuck it is. We've never heard of a giant spider. Y'all just made that shit up, So either way, though, if there is a tribe of people, the Baka people out in the Congo, or here it says Cameroon, Dominican Republic, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So if there is, a tribe of pygmies out in the Congo, one, they're pygmies. I mean, I believe that means that they're small, right? So, they probably think everything's big. And two, they don't know what a fucking coconut crab is, right? So they see this thing, they're like, oh, that's very clearly a giant spider, man, with a big ass hard shell. Like, yeah, don't fuck with that thing. I don't think, like I said, coconut crabs don't eat people. They're not predatory. So that's slightly different. So that's the criticism of the Jabba Fofi. That's the main criticism. If you go look into this deeper on Reddit, there's a whole bunch of people who actually do have like expertise in like studying spiders and shit. And they have said that that's the biggest reason why it couldn't exist is the tracheal respiratory system of arachnids cannot transport enough oxygen through such a big spider. The Goliath bird-eating spider, which is still a big fucking spider. That might have been with that second video that we watched. The guy like looks over and that spider is crawling along the floor. That could have been maybe just a really big ass bird-eating Goliath. Those things have a pretty hard time. They have, as far as I'm aware, they have a pretty short lifespan because they can't get oxygen to a lot of their body. So that's what the critics say. Here's more people talking about it. Actually, right after I was telling you about all the critics, I do like this image though. The Jabba Fofi isn't real. What about coconut crabs? Chad says. And that's another coconut crab image. Got another one. I don't think that's a coconut crab. I believe that's something called a spider crab or something to that effect. It's still a big ass fucking crab. That thing is still freaky. But yeah, if you run down here, which we'll pull out some few of them. The only possibility is a spider only slightly bigger than the biggest spider out there. One as big as they were is impossible. It is extremely difficult for the adult Theraphosa tarantula to molt, let alone one larger than that. So that's another one, is they're like, yeah, man, I believe this is the tarantula they're talking about. Pretty difficult for them to molt their skin when they need to. So just imagine a big ass giant spider, which is one thing. In the accounts to these giant spiders, nobody ever talks about them molting. Nobody's ever found molts of these spiders. Yeah, so Tangentially, this is something creationists could do to prove their bullshit claims about a water vapor canopy that extended lifespans, explaining several hundred-year-old characters in the Bible. All they need to do is run some lab tests using stuff like crickets, yada, yada, yada. That's some whole other thing. That's an interesting claim. We might throw that into Conspiracy Theory Thursdays. But if you run through these this guy says tarantulas in America and tarantulas in Africa are physically quite different. In America, they're generally bigger and slower. Also, their venom tends to be weak. In Africa, they may be smaller, but are lightning fast and tend to have stronger venom. That's true. So this is a weird fact about me, but I once did serious research into breeding spiders. I decided not to. My girlfriend's probably happy about that. She doesn't like spiders. I don't like spiders either, for the record. Like, you know, Arachnophobia was a cool movie, but I don't have like a pet tarantula or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not ever gonna. Spiders are freaky. But I looked into it because there is a lot of money in tarantula breeding, or at least there was when I looked into it. It was a very lucrative business, man. I mean, you think one orange knee tarantula, which is one of the more common tarantulas that a person buys in a store, one orange knee is like $20 at a pet store. And those fuckers have thousands of babies, right? And like they have so many babies at tarantula breeders, they let the babies hatch in the same tank, these thousands of little baby spiders, and then they let them eat each other until there's only about like 200 left. And then they sell them. So for just to get the mommy and the daddy, the mama and the papa, and get them to beep beep, you know, make little baby spiders, only costs $40. And then you sell each one to a pet store for like $10 or $15 or whatever they mark it up for their thing. You know, I forget the math, but you 200 spiders at $10 a piece, you know, that's $2,000. That's, didn't need the calculator for that. That's $2,000. That's, you know, not bad money, you know. And if you had a few of those orange knees that could do that, you know, and you get to other ones like cobalt tarantulas are the African tarantulas they're talking about. They're very blue. And they're much smaller tarantulas, are only like that compared to bigger ones. And those little fuckers, they're fast, they're nasty, they're mean as hell. But those ones, they'll easy go. You know, I haven't checked, you know, but last time I looked, they'll go for $200 a pop, right? So you got 200 spiders times $200 a pop. I do have to do the calculator for this. I'm not that smart. 40 grand for that one little batch of babies. That's pretty good, you know. And again, that's, you know, if you bought two of them, that's a $400 investment, nets you $40,000 with all the babies. And of course, you have to buy tanks for all the babies. Once you have 200 spiders, you need to have enough space to put them. The biggest issue with the spiders breeding spiders for pet stores wasn't so much the actually handling of the spiders, but from everything I read from actual tarantula breeders, was you're inevitably going to end up with some getting loose. It just happens. If you look up videos of people breeding spiders on YouTube, there's tons of them. And while they're trying to catch the spiders to put them in their little containers to go to the pet store, it's chaos, man. It's crazy. Just tarantulas running all over the place. So like, oh, let's get this guy, and before, oh, grab that guy before he runs away, and oh, look, there is one right there. And they just, their shop, wherever it is that they keep their spiders, inevitably it gets filled with loose tarantulas. They're just sitting there doing a YouTube video, and they're like, oh, hey, there's a fucking, you know, giant ass bird eating Goliath that's poised at me, ready to jump on me, that I forgot about. Get in the jar, you silly shit. And then they, you know, go sell it or whatever. But it's like, that's crazy. And you would want to essentially have like a warehouse somewhere out in the boonies away from where you live, maybe where other people live. You know, if your neighbors have a problem with it, it's better than you have a problem with it. But you wouldn't want to have a freaking spider breeding warehouse. Like, you wouldn't want to do it in the fucking garage, because then you would have tarantulas all over your house just loose running around. And some of those things are venomous and some of them are nasty. Anyways, like this person was saying, African and American tarantulas are different. Looks like African tarantulas are basically always hidden. I know all of this firsthand because I too keep more tarantulas than the normal human being. That said, Jabal Fofi would have the morphology seen in African tarantula species, which is actually somewhat accurate with all the webbing and strong venom hypothesis. Even so, Jabal Fofi, if real, may be not much bigger than your typical Penebulus mudicus, the king baboon. Reaching for bigger sizes than that is already too much. So yeah, most people here, anybody that knows anything about spiders is like, yeah, it's not a real thing. Yeah, it's basically the biggest reason why is they just don't have the breathing capacity. They can't, there's no system designed in arachnids that can push that much oxygen through that big of a body. So if you run through Reddit, this is just one Reddit page I pulled up just to kind of show a bunch of different people having a conversation about it and all the various reasons why people believe it, don't believe it. You know, it's always fun to kind of see different people having conversations about this. But yeah, this guy, like right here, are you dumb? Crabs are not spiders. See, that's a brilliant addition to the conversation right there. That's the kind of high-end stuff that you expect on Reddit. So, yeah, but you know, that's the main criticism. You know, if you go look up a lot of research, a lot of scientists obviously aren't talking about this because they're actual scientists and they're like, I don't give a fuck about your giant spider bullshit, bro. I'm trying to cure cancer and shit. But yeah, the scientists who do talk about it, or the experts, spider experts that talk about it, all say the same thing. It's just there's no oxygen delivery system big enough, or respiratory system for that spider to get that big. So, and the only clap back that anybody has is, well, what about coconut crabs, bro? Which, hey, I love this shit. I love these crazy animals that may or may not exist. I'm all into that, right? So I'm not even trying to, you know, dissuade people. I'm just saying, you know, that's, you got to be realistic about it. So, hold on 1 second. Nose is a little stuffy. Trying to save you guys the nasty nose noises that I'm making here. So, yeah, here's another critics website called The Reluctant Skeptic, which that's kind of where I'm at, you know, reluctant skeptic. But could there be a spider that does get that big? Deep in the mysterious unexplored jungles of Central Africa, as the story goes, the native peoples live in fear of a monstrous eight-legged beast whom they call a Fofi. These gargantuan spiders are said to resemble tarantulas, but are 5 or more feet across. Yada, yada, yada. This is those two main sightings. In the missionary in 1890s, Arthur Symes. And then Englishman Reginald Lloyd and his daughter in 1938. These stories are the only real evidence of Fofi. There are no supposed photos taken of it, and no true expeditions have been launched to attempt to find it. So what do we make of this evidence? Well, for starters, the main source of these two stories is a man named William Gibbons. Gibbons made a small name for himself in the cryptozoology community by investigating the Mokele Mbib, a supposed living dinosaur which is also said to lurk in the depths of the Congo. The problem, however, is that Gibbons is an employee of the Institute for Creation Research, a self-declared academic institution dedicated to perpetuating the long discredited belief of young Earth creationism. I don't know what that is, but that would be interesting for a Conspiracy Theory Thursdays. Thus, not only does Gibbons have, to say the least, a very questionable scientific background, he would seem to have a vested interest in proving that supposedly ancient creatures such as dinosaurs and giant spiders are still alive and well today, as it fits into the young Earth narrative. I wonder what that narrative is. I'm intrigued now. So if the evidence is scarce and what evidence there is does not meet any true scientific standard, is there any reason to give credence to the story of the Fofi? Well, many arachnophobes may breathe a sigh of relief when I say that the answer is no. The reason is a biological one. Spiders as a whole are ancient life forms, which evolved during the Jurassic period approximately 200 million years ago. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Wow. Back then, the Earth's atmosphere was nearly 10% more rich in oxygen than it is today. This rich environment allowed arachnids and insects to grow to monstrous sizes. Many types of spider, including the tarantula family, of which the Fofi is apparently one, feature a set of book lungs, layers of extremely thin leaves which allow for the passage of oxygen. These were able to support larger creatures in the Jurassic era, but cannot do so in today's comparatively oxygen-depleted atmosphere. However, even during this optimal stage, no spiders are known to have exceeded the size of the giant huntsman spider, which is less than a fifth of the size of the Fofi. So, there you have it. The Reluctant Skeptic dishes this out to you. This is a good website for anything cryptozoology related. Here's a bunch of recent posts on skinwalkers, 50 Berkeley Square. I don't know what that is, but this is a pretty entertaining website. Cover all paranormal, morbid, bizarre, cryptozoology type stuff and come at it from a more scientific perspective. If you're into cryptozoology, you got to check that out. Okay, so now you know, you've seen the video, the evidence of the Fofi. Not a lot of it exists. You know what it is. We've watched a nice little video about it, know as much as anybody else does. So now you're officially Jabba Fofi experts. And then you've seen what the critics are saying. So you'll have to let me know on the poll on the Twitch stream if you think that exists or not. My answer is going to be probably not. Probably not, man. You know, there might be, I'm sure that at some point there might be, I'm not sure, but I would imagine, or I could imagine at one point them finding an even bigger spider than the Goliath bird eater, which is the biggest spider they know of today. But not that much bigger, you know, maybe something, you know, bird eaters like this, right? Then this is like this, you know, roughly the size of my dick. So, you know, maybe slightly bigger than the biggest spider they know. That might exist, but probably not some 5 foot, you know, leg span shit. So anyways, we're going to go into some more stuff. The title of the stream is the Jabba Fofi and other giant spiders, right? So now we're going to cover the other giant spiders. So this is some info about giant spider sightings around the world, because the Jabba Fofi isn't the only big ass spider cryptid that has been spotted. All the rest of these web pages, oh, you can't see it and think, well, I got tons of web pages open. We're going to go through all of them. And almost every single one of them is a different sighting from a different part of the world. So there is actually quite a few giant spiders being sighted all over the world. This website, Shooker Nature, if you note that last name, Shooker, Carl Shooker. This is Carl Shooker, I believe. Otherwise, that's just a random bald person they put on their website. Carl Shooker was the guy that they quoted a couple articles ago who said, yeah, it's, you know, Jabba Fofi isn't real. Well, Carl Shooker, well, we'll just read a little bit about him. Zoologist, media consultant, and science writer, Dr. Carl Shooker is also known as one of the best cryptozoologists in the world. He's the author of such seminal works as Mystery Cats of the World, The Lost Ark, Animals of the 20th Century, yada, yada, yada. Wow, this is just all his books. Holy shit, that is a lot of books. I'm not going to go through all of them. But anyways, yeah, this guy is considered a staple of the cryptozoology community and is very skeptical. You know, he's a skeptic. Like I say, he's a legitimate zoologist, okay? So he knows a lot about this shit. He is very skeptical of cryptozoology, but enjoys it all the same. So this is a really entertaining, I'll be really old school website, right? Like this website is like so old school, it reads like it's from the 1990s. But anyways, yeah, we're going to go through, this is a whole article on this old school website. It's still a fun website, so you got to check it out. We're going to go over some of the other sightings that have occurred from all around the world. Okay, so, peacock. All right, the puppy-sized spider in Papua New Guinea. So this is an interesting story. I think this is an older one. Anyway, the Kokoda track or trail is a predominantly straight single-file foot thoroughfare running 60 miles through inhospitable terrain across the Owen Stanley mountain range of Papua New Guinea. And from July 1942 to January 1943, it was the site of a series of World War II battles between Australian and Japanese forces known as the Kokoda Track Campaign. In 2001, Australian cryptozoologist Peter and Debbie Hines revealed that it was also here, while serving as a soldier in the Australian Army, that the father of one of Debbie's friends had a brief but unforgettable encounter with a mysterious mega spider. And this is that encounter. One day, he had to take himself off into the scrub to answer a call of nature. While thus engaged, he noticed he was crouched down next to a very large cobweb. Not the classic fishing net sort, but the fine, snow-white cottony stuff that spread all over the ground and tree trunk. His eyes followed it one way and then the other. Seems it was very extensive, like 10 to 15 feet either way. Then he noticed the spider itself, only a foot or so away from his face. It was a real horror. The body, i.e. thorax and abdomen, he described as the size of a small dog or puppy. It was colored jet black, the legs were thick and hairy, but not as long as the classic dinner plate tarantula-type spider that owes its size to the spread of its legs. This thing had more body bulk than spread. Needless to say, he backed out of it very slowly and carefully. Ooh. In spiders, the body is actually just the abdomen, not the thorax plus abdomen, because the thorax section is combined with the head, yielding the prosoma So I don't know what that is. So judging from the above description, the Papua New Guinea spider must have been at least the size of an adult chihuahua. See, that's a pretty big fucking spider. That's more believable than a 5 foot leg span, right? This is not the only report of a giant mystery spider encountered in New Guinea during World War II. Ah, the plot thickens. During an interview with cryptozoologist Rob Morphy of AmericanMonsters.com on the U.S. radio show Coast to Coast AM a couple years ago, a telephone caller named Craig recounted how his grandfather, while serving in New Guinea during World War II, encountered a monstrous spider in a web that scared him so much he hacked it to death with his machete. According to Craig's grandfather, oh, I've got a text. Craig's grandfather can wait a second. Okay. Back to Craig's grandfather. Let's see. According to Craig's grandfather, the spider measured an immense 3 feet from tip to tip and unexpectedly was not hairy like many big spiders are. Instead, it was shiny and was emerald green in color. This nightmarish arachnid was encountered near Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea. So there's a couple different Papua New Guinea spider sightings there. I don't think I have anything more on those because there was no videos included in those. Here's more on the Jabal Fofi. South American mega spiders. See, monstrous spiders in Vietnam, giant spiders in suburbia. Oh, we'll get into that here in a minute. That's a good one. More about the physiological limitations, maybe the idea that giant crabs and not spiders. Let's go ahead. We're not going to read on the urban spiders, the suburban spiders, because we'll read about that further down the list. Let's check out these South American mega spiders. What is this about, huh? Reports of comparably massive spiders have also been recorded from the rainforest of the Venezuela and South America. In 2008, the American television series Monster Quest sent tarantula expert Rick C. West to investigate such stories in the field via a short-filmed expedition to some Venezuelan jungle villages near the Orinoco River and the border with Colombia. On the border with Colombia. During his 3-day foray, he was accompanied by a team of local helpers and an experienced Amazon guide, Juan Carlos Ramirez, who has worked there for over 20 years. West began his quest by visiting the village of San Rafael. Here, one villager attested that as a child he had seen a giant tarantula-like spider capture a small dog from the village and drag it off into the jungle. Oh, that's horrible. Poor dog. It's okay, we're going to have to learn how to say this word. It's opistosoma. It's opistosoma. Opistosoma. Its thing was as big as a basketball, and when it reared up, it was the size of a human. If such a gigantic spider existed and its fangs were in proportion to the rest of its body, they would probably measure 6 to 9 inches long. Wow. Man, that's a beast, right? 6'10", so almost as big as my dick. That's horrible. That's scary. Although such claims would incite considerable scientific skepticism, Ramirez was convinced of the villagers' veracity, stating that they know the local farms very well and would not mistake something familiar, such as a monkey or a sloth on the ground, for a giant spider. West and his team also visited Panderi, a village deeper into the mountains. Here, 2 inhabitants, Antonio and his son Simone, spoke of a small child who had disappeared, never to return, which had been blamed upon by giant spiders. In addition, so real is the Panderi villagers' fear of such a creature that they even engineer their huts specifically to keep them out, building thatched roofs that extend all the way down to the ground, thus yielding dense, tightly interwoven barricades. And on the 3rd day of West's expedition, they headed back into the jungle and found an extremely large spider lair on the ground, inside which they placed a video scope. This revealed the presence there of a very big tarantula, which they captured alive, although nothing like as sizable as the reputed chicken-killing, dog-devouring, child-abducting specimens feared by the villagers. It was roughly the same size as the biggest tarantula on record and was 2 ounces when weighed inside a plastic specimen bag. Sadly, West's expedition ended without finding conclusive evidence for Venezuela's fabled giant spiders. However, he was sufficiently impressed by the size of their captured spider to consider it possible that bigger ones did exist in the jungle, and stated that he planned on returning to continue the search for one. Okay. And in 2011, British cinematographer Richard Terry sought horse-killing, child-abducting giant spiders in Colombia's rainforest for the television series Man vs. Monster. He didn't find any either, but villagers claim that these dreaded beasts inhabited subterranean lairs opening into the forest floor via huge holes. Okay. Then you got giant spiders in Vietnam. I'm sure we'll read this. This is a short one. On the 8th of April 2013, American cryptozoologist Craig Woolheater, that's quite a name, Craig Woolheater, posted on the Cryptomundo website a fascinating communication that he'd lately received from an American correspondent publicly identified only by the Cryptomundo username, Mr. Maxima. This person stated that their father-in-law claims that while serving in the jungles of Vietnam during the Vietnam War as part of a 5-man unit conducting scout work there, he encountered spiders with bodies the size of dinner plates and with their legs yielding a total span of 20 to 30 inches. These terrifying arachnids were always spied near the creeks or other water sources and were so tough that even after being shot by him and the other men with their M16s and unloaded full magazines, they were still moving around. So, as you can see, giant spiders everywhere. You're not safe from them. The Jabal Fofi might not exist, but you're still shit out of luck because they are in other places. Like, for example, where is this? Mozambique. So for all you Mozambique listeners out there, better hide your cats and dogs. So maybe you guys recognize this shot. This was from that video we watched earlier. This is supposedly a giant spider caught on camera in Mozambique. I have not seen anything yet. And I've watched this video before. I'm still not sure what the fuck we're looking at. There it is. And that's it.
Are you struggling with the crazy
All right, that was
volatility in the market
exciting.
right now? I mean, these swings have been extremely unpredictable, and it's created.
Skip this, go back. Yeah, I could hardly contain myself. That was so terrifying. So it's supposedly right here. Kind of looks like a spider. Here, let me make this bigger. Well, that helped nothing because the chat's in the way. So right here, if you can see my cursor, is supposedly the spider. There's the thorax, abdomen, legs, supposedly. And it does look like you see a whole bunch of legs out there. I don't know. What do you think? I think that settles it. Giant spiders are real. British tourists get surprised by enormous spider in the Dominican Republic. This scary video has emerged of a giant spider creeping up on British tourists in the Dominican Republic. The footage shot last month shows a huge black arachnid crawling out of the grass towards the filmer. The car in front hand broken down. We were strapped in and couldn't move. Well, that sentence doesn't make sense, but we'll believe them and we'll still watch their video.
Oh my! Don't move! Don't move! Don't move! Ah! Oh my! Don't move! Don't move! Don't move! Ah!
I don't know. What do you think? That might just be like a giant Goliath bird eater. I don't know. You know, if a foot came into view, like if you ran up and like bit the filmographer's foot off, I'd believe it's a giant spider. I'd be like, oh shit, he's got your foot. Okay, that's a big spider. But there was no foot biting in that. And so I don't know. That could just be, you know, I mean, let's compare it to the size of the trees. I mean, that's about the size of that tree trunk back there. I don't know what kind of trees those are, but, you know, if he just held his thumb up to it for a size reference, that would have been nice. But, you know, this fucking guy being lazy. Okay. Legend of Jabal Fofi and giant spiders. What was the point of this video? Sometimes I say videos and I'm like, why did I do that again? Okay, these are even more sightings from around the world. So they do have videos of giant spiders in Mozambique. A video, well, we don't know if it's a video of a giant spider. Honestly, that could have been like a fucking rhino or something. I don't know if they have rhinos in Mozambique, but there was something big. Who knows if it was actually a spider, right? You know, This goes over author Symes. Then we have the video that we just watched in the Dominican Republic. Carl Schucker, a zoologist and cryptozoologist, in an interview with a man named Craig. We learned about that. That was Craig's grandfather. He was in World War II. He chopped the spider up with his machete. And I think this doesn't actually go over anything that we haven't already gone over. Hold on. So, is it possible that giant spiders exist? In the case of Papua New Guinea and nearby islands, many scientists have considered sightings to be mistaken identity, in particular, the coconut crab, which can grow up to 3 feet. It is the largest arthropod and has six spider-like legs, with 2 large pincers, bearing a similar appearance to what would be a giant spider. It is very possible that a frightened witness may have mistaken it as a spider. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man, because if you saw something 3 feet across with a lot of fucking legs, you're not sticking around to see what it is, right? You know, I can make jokes all day, but I'm not holding my thumb up to anything to see how big it is. I'm getting the fuck out of there. You know, I'm tripping the nearest person close to me so the spider can get them, and I'm running. In the late Carboniferous and early Permian period, some insects were able to reach huge sizes. Dragonflies during this time were able to reach 28-inch wingspans. Wow. They were able to achieve this because the oxygen levels in the atmosphere were over 30%, much more compared to the 21% of today. So we kind of read about that, right? That's why just spiders were bigger. Insects' tracheal breathing system limits its oxygen intake, and because there is no inflated amount of oxygen present, we see for smaller insects in today's world. Okay, so basically, they're just going over it. Yep. That spiders used to be bigger because of the increase in oxygen. Dominican Republic sighting. The most recent U.S. sighting I came across. We'll go over that, I think. Do I have that one? The Alabama. Oh, yeah. You better believe it, son. We have giant spiders in Alabama. Sugar Nature. What did we have here? The Louisianna spider saga. We'll get to that here in a minute. Louisiana spider again. Louisiana spider again. Evidence from America. I think this was Alabama. Okay, so let's move on to this. Giant spiders in Alabama. Oh, yeah. So, hold on one second. Got heartburn. All these giant spiders are freaking me out. All right. Sorry about that. Need a relief. Shit was on fire. Okay. So, this is the giant spiders in America. Okay, one of these creatures is known as the Fofi, or the Congolese giant spider, a dark-haired arachnid supposedly between 4 and 5 feet long, capable of hunting human beings. With several sightings across Central Africa, it's difficult to dismiss the possibility that perhaps there is an unknown species of giant spider that large. The Fofi is said to construct underground tunnels beneath tree roots and wait for prey they can ambush, similar to the manner in which a trapdoor spider hunts. Notice that was the same thing they said in the Venezuela spiders. They bury tunnels under the ground. That's why you don't run into them. A bite from the Congolese giant spider is deadly, and there is actually a documented case of a Western explorer dying after purportedly being attacked by the Fofi in Africa. That was the one in 1890. I forget his name, but I think it was Arthur Symes. Although this massive spider is a lesser-known cryptid, there are plenty of chilling encounter stories, 5 of which can be seen here in Giant Spider Encounters. Ooh. Let's open you. And, okay, most encounters do take place in Africa. However, some believe other parts of the world are also capable of supporting enormous spider species, such as the southern states of America. The climate in these states is incredibly humid, and millions of arthropods thrive in it. Is it possible that a large, unidentified arachnid is roaming the earth undetected? I don't know. What do you think? This brings us to a fairly new case of unexplained footage from Alabama. As Jamie Williams explored the woods behind her house, she decided to bring a camera along to show her friend. Jamie works for a chemical supplier, but she has a passion for nature and walks through the woods frequently. I wanted to bring a camera the next time I went back there so I could show my friend how beautiful it is during the spring. What I ended up catching on camera made me scared of ever going into the woods again. Before sending the video of our nature walk to her friend, Jamie watched the footage out of curiosity. To her horror, she spotted something quite unusual sitting in a tree. Judging from the tree in the video, the creature in question estimated to be between 1 and 2 feet. It was pale and had several legs. Although it looks like a spider, it is unclear how many legs it actually had. One thing is for sure, if it was a spider, it would easily be one of the world's largest. When Jamie pans the camera to the left of the creature and then back, it is suddenly gone. Jamie's video can be found here. Ooh, let's watch her video. Let's see. This was new website, Sasquatch Chronicles link. Clickbait. That's a bummer. We got. They got us. These fuckers. Let's see if I can find it. Time to Google this shit. I don't usually do this. Usually I have my web pages all up ready to go, but I'm interested in seeing this footage. Alabama giant spider footage. Let's see what you got, Jamie. The Joro spider that can fly, yada, yada, yada. Doubt that's Jamie's giant spider. Might not exist anymore. This is all about Joro spiders. Joro spiders are actual spiders. They like float through the air on their webs like little balloons. Hobo spiders. We used to have those in Colorado. I don't know if we have them down here in Tennessee. Okay. Well, Jamie, your video is gone. If she even exists. Who knows? That could have just been completely made up. This is all about the Joro spiders are in Alabama now. Let's see. She said it was in a forest, right? Let's type forest footage. Giant forest spiders. Texas wildlife. Spiders. Okay, well, we're going to have to put a fork in this, come back to it here at another day. Spider lightning. Yeah, okay, we have more important matters, like, for example, in 1948, a family walking down a highway at night spotted a large spider in Leesville, Louisiana. They said it was hairy and about the size of a wash tub. It crossed the road and disappeared into the brush. So, let's see. Wait, video. Yeah, that's the same Dominican Republican video. So, yeah, this is hilarious because my girlfriend, my cutie pie, she just moved to the States from Hawaii to Leesville, Louisiana. So she was pretty terrified when I showed her that, but it gets even better. Okay, so this is Louisiana giant spiders, an independent eyewitness at last. All right, so in a trio of detailed Shooker Nature blog articles posted by me during the summer of 2020 and spring 2021, I documented the fascinating, if exceedingly startling, series of claims that had been emailed to me by a United States soldier concerning the supposed presence of enormous spiders seen by him and others on several occasions during 2005 and 2007 at U.S. Army training areas at Fort Polk, Louisiana Joint Readiness Training Center, where for several weeks back then he had been stationed for complex field training. So, my girlfriend lives on Fort Polk in Leesville, Louisiana. Fort Polk is right outside of Leesville, Louisiana. So, in 1948, a couple spotted a giant spider the size of a wash tub outside Leesville. And then Fort Polk, which is right next to Leesville, you have soldiers in 2005 and 2007 claiming that they too have seen giant spiders. So, Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no. So, cutie pie, you need to get out of there before you get eaten by a giant spider. Nobody wants that. All right. As I discussed in my accounts, however, the fundamental physiological problems of such sizable spiders even being capable of existing, let alone actually doing so, would seem sufficient reason in themselves for discounting these claims out of hand. Yet the extent of detail provided by this self-alleged eyewitness is such that I felt it warranted publishing coverage, if only to see if it elicited any independence corroborating reports from anyone else. Now, finally, after more than 2 years, it has done so, and not from some stranger either, but instead from a long-lasting friend in Facebook, namely veteran Monster Mystery Beast fan Rich Jonas from Connecticut. So, we got giant spider sighting in Leesville in 1948, the soldier sightings in 2005 and 2007, and now this fella comes out in 2022, I think it said, right? Was that when this article was written? Hold on. July 10th of this year. It doesn't have a... In 2023. See, cutie pie? They were spotting this shit just a couple years ago, right before you moved. On 10th July this year, Rich sent me 3 private messages in swift succession on Facebook and gave me his full permission to document them in a future Shooker Nature articles. Due to pressing work commitments, however, I wasn't able to do straight away, but I'm doing so now, having combined his 3 messages together in a single condiment, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here is Rich's message. I have read over the years your reports of giant spiders in the Fort Polk area. I will give you my wife's brother's account. My wife's brother is an MP in the CTNG. Some years ago, he went to Fort Polk for training. He was training on the use of night vision goggles. They heard a rustling noise, and he swears that himself and his friends saw a spider at least as big as a trash can cover crawl across the trail that they were watching. He is not a BS artist by any means. He has told me this story several times, and I believe him. Sorry that I can't be more specific about dates. Call it 2011 or 2012. Yeesh. At first, her brother laughed and said that they were campfire stories. Later, he said, we'll talk later, and a few weeks later, he told me the story. Since then, he has told it among family and friends. Plus, what is his reaction to the incident? Him and his friend debated going back the way they came and decided to continue, but were very cautious at first, and then they practically ran through the exercise. As indeed I would have done had I encountered at close range at night a spider the size of a dustbin lid. Needless to say, all of these issues of physiological improbability that I discussed previously in relation to my soldiers' correspondence sightings claims apply equally here. Yet, as I also noted previously, it is not inconceivable, surely, that some novel evolutionary advancement of the typical size limiting spider respiratory system could yield spiders bigger than those presently known to science, though as there is currently no physical evidence of any kind to substantiate this, it is just a notion and is wholly speculative. Meanwhile, I'll be very interested to see whether this long-awaited, long-hoped-for first independent testimony to the putative reality of Fort Polk's reputed mega-spiders induces other reports of such creatures from this Louisiana location to emerge. So there you go. Giant spiders in Louisiana, of all places. So, yeah, my girlfriend, she just commented, I knew that place was no good. Yeah, me and her don't really like Louisiana. Sorry to anybody who sees this video that likes Louisiana, but me and her aren't big on it. Fort Polk, the Leesville area is so small and tiny, and there's just nothing to do there. The food's good. You know, I like to go down there to visit her and hang out with her, but that's the only reason I like being down there. I would never go down there on my own for any reason. And giant spiders kind of seals the deal. So, unfortunately, for all Fort Polk doesn't have going for it, which is a lot, it's kind of a boring fucking place. Now they have giant spiders, which I happen to feel like might be a connection there, right? I mean, if you live in such a tiny town in the middle of buttfuck nowhere with nothing to do, what else are you going to do except make up stories of giant ass spiders, right? You know, like life is just that boring out here. Fuck it. Let's just claim we know we have giant spiders out here, make life more exciting, right? But so yeah, even more reasons for Cutie Pie to move out of Fort Polk before she gets eaten by a giant spider. Come up here to Nashville. Okay, so this is an update though on the Louisiana giant spiders. Oh wait, so this is 2021. This was the first. I accidentally saved these backwards. Okay. So this is actually the 2005 Sergeant, the soldier. This was his record of what had happened. So, hold on one second. Sorry, I forgot to mute that time. Okay, so let's see. What is this? Information concerning my two-part article engendered a fair few comments from readers, some of which queried certain technical and military aspects of Sergeant S's testimony. As a result, I have recently received some additional information from him, not only addressing these queries, but also providing further insights into the creatures that he and others allegedly encountered. Moreover, he has provided me with a series of truly startling, thought-provoking scale drawings that readily reveal the supported size of those spiders alongside an average human. As noted above, the zoologist in me cries out that such creatures simply cannot be. Equally, however, Sergeant S's extensive, impassioned communications are ones that ostensibly originate from someone who is truly terrified and still patently haunted by what he claims to have seen. As before, Sergeant S has kindly granted me full permission to publish these updates under the same condition as before that he remains anonymous. Personally, however, I can see no feasible way via which this dramatically opposite, mutually exclusive disparity between the biological incongruity of spiders and the apparent honesty of his belief in what he claims to have seen can be resolved. So I choose instead to present Sergeant S's additional information and drop drawings and scale drawings wherewith without comment from me. Okay, I don't know what that word wherewith means. This guy did say he's British, so they have a bunch of made-up words. But in the form of a new article that will serve as a publicly available record of the later's data existence, which I feel needs to be done. I received Sergeant S's new emails to me just over a fortnight ago on March 14th, 2001, in which he stated, I finally saw your blog postings of my account with the giant spiders at Fort Polk. Thank you so much for bringing this story to light and keeping my name out of it. After reading it all over again, I remembered a few more details from the 2005 sighting regarding the animal's behavior that are significant enough to include. So, this is what Sergeant S added. I was so traumatized by these events that I became disassociated, as if they were too unbearable to think about or as if it happened to someone else. To be clear on the retelling of these parts of the story, I did not fully recall the entire play-by-play of events as it was so hard to deal with, that I blocked it out trying not to think about it. I have not talked about it at all with anyone until writing about it with you 15 years later. Now it haunts me to even see a large dog loose in the park, as that is the general size of the creature's torso, without the 6-inch venomous fangs and long creepy legs. I was finally able to talk about it with a friend from work who is very open-minded to this sort of thing, and that helped me to decide to write these additional details. You have my permission to publish as agreed upon before. I must discourage anyone from trying to get near one of these things, or even walking in their area, as they're extremely dangerous, venomous, man-eating ambush predators that can move with tremendous force and speed. So, 2005 sightings, animal type 1A. On the night of the first encounter in 2005, when I first saw this thing that I will label type 1A, I could not believe what I was seeing. In the heat of the moment, I charged forward and used my M4 carbine weapon's buttstock to smash type 1A in the head repeatedly. Oh, so he was close enough to actually beat the fucking thing. That does suck. That is scary. No wonder he was traumatized. Swinging wildly with my weapon as its legs while kicking and screaming at it at the top of my lungs. The flashlight shining directly in its eyes illuminated the eye tube itself, making it appear light blue. I can compare it to being in a dark room and shining a light into the bottom of a clear glass bottle filled with clear viscous fluid or clear jelly. The eyes, of course, were outwardly convex and had no eyelids. Before I charged, type 1A tilted its head to the side and around so I could see the light all the way inside its head, and there were increasingly smaller rings inside the eye tube. I think the adrenaline from my fight or flight instinct kicked in when I saw it moving. Type 1A backed up and sprayed a mist of foul-smelling liquid at us from about 5 or 6 feet away. The pheromone-laced liquid came out from the animal's mouth, or likely from glands near its mouth, and initially fanned out like water from an automotive windshield wiper nozzle before dispersing into a mist. It happened so suddenly while I was firing blank 5.56 millimeter rounds in its face so it may have been a defensive response. The scent was a mix of ammonia and strong animal musk, like the scent of a cat marking its territory, but much more pungent. The smell was not as bad as skunk spray, but more of a wet, swampy undercurrent of stench. With the sound and flash from 30 blank rounds, Type 1A turned its back and fled very clumsily, tumbling into its own legs and smashing into the trees and sticks on the wooded area, and was feeling its way around, trying to find a path to escape before it scampered out of sight. I believe these things cannot see very well like most spiders and instead follow their noses. After I cut Sergeant Becky loose from the thick threaded silk, I became entangled and stuck to the ground. Wow, so this guy actually had a friend stuck in the silk. While Sergeant Becky was screaming and running back to our tent, I was nauseated from the pungent spray and basically frozen in fear, unable to move my legs. I then changed magazines in my weapon and made a Morse code SOS signal by firing a 3-round burst followed with 3 separate single-fire shots, finishing with another 3-round burst. I did this pattern 3 times. I could still hear movement in the trees from the direction where Type 1A fled, so I frantically cut away blindly at the dirt trying to free myself until I could get up and run like the devil back to our tent. I was very disoriented, dizzy, and itchy on my exposed skin, as was Sergeant Becky. In retrospect, I believe this was due to a neurotoxic effect on the inch-long bristles or hairs we found all over our uniforms that I believe were ejected from Type 1A. That's something that tarantulas do. If you ever see a tarantula in the wild, it'll rear its abdomen up and it'll start flicking it at you, and it's flicking irritating hairs at you that kind of like fly like harpoons through the air and stick in your skin, and you'll notice little red dots in your skin after a while. You'll have to get soap and wash those irritating hairs out. So, common tarantulas are known to shoot bristles. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, so, okay. Later, when they asked me to describe what I saw, I recalled thinking Type 1A looked like an old, frail man. Its head was not covered in hair, but the face and fangs were covered in long, light brown bristles. This gave it the appearance of a bald, bearded, elderly man with its long, thin legs, giving it the appearance of frail, bony arms and legs. Oof. And there's his drawing right here. So, about up to the tops of your legs. Spooky. Animal Type 2A. When everyone calmed down from all the excitement, I headed back to my cot. Sergeant Becky returned from the aid station under assistance as they had given her tranquilizers. She was removed from training the next day under a command referral due to her traumatized state. My tent mates began complaining about the musty smell on me, so I threw the scent-marked uniform in a laundry bag outside next to the tent about 20 feet from the door. After I changed and made a coffee, I started heading out to the showers and laundry and stood just inside of the door frame, getting my eyes adjusted to the dark. I had a black shaving kit toiletry bag in my right hand outside the open door when I felt something hit the bag. There was a whitish, silver dollar-sized material connected to a thick string against my bag. As I turned it slightly to look, it was pulled away from me suddenly and with great force, smashing my wrist into the metal frame of the door and snatching it out of my hand. Just then, another soldier leaving the portable toilets about 40 feet perpendicular to the door started gasping in silent screams, pointing at a dark mass about the size of a man and low to the ground along the outer wall of the tent, where my laundry bag was. I will label this creature Type 2A. He threw a plastic spit bottle at the shape on the ground, splashing tobacco spit all over Type 2A, and it turned in his direction, making a hissing sound. Immediately, I threw my hot coffee and canteen cup that I had in my other hand. Type 2A turned again now with its back to me and raised with its head topping off at about 5 feet from the ground. Its 2 to 3 inch thick front and side legs then spread out, shaking menacingly in the air, spanning 6 or 7 feet in circumference. That's another thing tarantulas do. Just put their legs in the air like, to try to make themselves bigger. Worked on this guy. Type 2A's back legs were dangling straight down like it was on its tiptoes, and its abdomen was about 1 foot thick by 3 foot long. All this happened instantaneously, and in split seconds it leaped 50 or 60 feet horizontally away. I suppose it could have run on its back legs, but it covered 50 to 60 feet distance in a split second. It reached the edge of the 200-man tent, and without stopping it rounded the corner, crashing into another tent alongside ours. It clumsily clambered over the next tent, ripping holes in the fabric, then disappeared into the woods. Animal Type 2A was much darker in color, with a thicker coat of bristles, much thicker in body mass. Its abdomen was more elongated than bulbous, and its overall size was greater than a large man. I did not see its fangs as it was dark and quickly turned its back to me, but overall it gave the appearance of an enormous tarantula. Someone found my bag the next day by the wood line, and it was punctured, with the shaving cream can exploded and other contents mangled. Again, the senior officers collected it and ordered us to not talk about the incident. The soldier who threw the spit bottle already had a phobia of spiders, and this event so traumatized him that he could no longer speak intelligently. He became so uncontrollably stressed that he was also removed from training under command referral. Wow. So, all right. In my first email to you in 2025 event, I mentioned another soldier woke up to what he said looked like a bearded old man wearing large black goggles looking at us at the base of our open tent door. To elaborate further on that event, that night of the first sightings, I placed Army-issue cots upright lengthwise around my sleeping cot in a feeble attempt to protect myself with a wall around me. In the night, I awoke to a loud metal banging sound at the rear tent near where I was sleeping. But when several of us got up, there was nothing to see. In the morning, one of the upright cots was gone. I found it crumbled up in the field behind our tent with more sticky silk around it. I assume one of the spiders returned and spit silk at where the scent was coming from, catching an upended cot instead of me. The cots are made of sturdy aluminum, intended for years of military use and not easily crumbled by human hands. After these incidents, senior leadership came back and ordered me to surrender my boots and any clothing I wore when I was sprayed by Type 1A. I washed my equipment, including my helmet, flashlight, and weapon, with the Army-based M295 decontainment kit. This is a charcoal powdered mitten that has a disgusting rotten fish oil smell. I also used the M295 kit on my head, hands, face, neck, and arms. I repeated this process a few times to get the smell off me, and we spray the area down with Army-issued STB, or super tropical bleach. After the decontamination, a few showers, new uniforms, spraying down the tent area with STB and pouring STB into the hole where Type 1A had appeared, the creatures did not return. So that was the 2005 sighting, a whole bunch of details. That was pretty freaky. That would be a freaky instance. That's the most detailed witness statement of any giant spider shit that we've read so far. And let's see, this is the 2007 sighting, animals type 1B and type 2B. I would like to label the 2000 daytime sightings of the large light-colored trapdoor spider, type 1B, and the nighttime sighting of the gargantuan spider on the roof as type 2B. So those are some assumptions. So, interesting. So this is a whole nother part of the story. So, I don't know yet how to actually link web pages to my Twitch. I need to learn how to do that. Maybe tonight I'll try to figure out how to set links on my Twitch channel, see if that's a thing I can do, so I can link the original 2005 and 2007 sightings for you to read about. But that's the gist of it. Those are the 2005, 2007 sightings in Leesville, Louisiana, of their giant spiders. Again, they had another sighting in 1948. A family saw a giant spider. And then apparently, again, some guy also at Fort Polk in 2023. So, super freaky, right? Apparently, they got giant-ass spiders in Louisiana, of all places. And Louisiana already has so little going for it. That's a super bummer. You know what else is a super bummer? I need to take a pee. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break. We only got about 40 minutes left anyways. So this is around that time where I go relieve my bladder, leave you guys to hang out and chill. It'll only be a few minutes. I'm not going to be gone for too long. Just long enough to refill some water, take a pee, and then I'll come back and we'll continue on to other spiders. So there's a few more spider-related cryptids that we will want to check out. Oh, this page finally loaded. Largest spiders. No, it didn't load. Okay. I had one web page here that loaded or needed to load, but it was just taking too long. Okay. Well, here's a whole bunch of other giant spider cryptids that we'll go over for the last, say, half hour of the stream. But in the meantime, I need to take a break, so I'll be back here in just a few minutes. You guys can rock out to some awesome music and stare at this really cool Be Right Back screen, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Just got me a new drink, and it had to go slush, or what do you call it? Gargle some Listerine, because my throat is really fucking with me. I think I got like an ear infection. I get it at the gym all the time because I wear these hearing, my AirPods when I'm in the gym, and you're touching all the shit that everybody's sweating all over, and then you're pulling AirPods in and out of your ear. And I think I fucked my ear up doing that. Okay, anyways, where are we at here? We're back at Sugar Nature. Update on Louisiana giant spiders. This is the 2005 2007 sightings. Okay, so we're moving on to other giant spider cryptids. So as we've kind of gone over in the stream, started with the Jabal Fofi, gave you all the videos that exist on that guy. I go bitching about my ear and being sick, and now I'm gonna eat some candy. So, sue me. Keep myself sick for another 2 days, but it'll be worth it. I fucking love Smarties. Went over the Jabal Fofi, went over all the videos they have, all the evidence that they have available for us to look at. We have looked at. We are official Jabal Fofi experts now. Went over some of the other giant spider sightings all over the world. Found out there's actually a lot of them. Got a couple from Papua New Guinea, one from Vietnam, a video from Mozambique, a British couple in Colombia, I think it was, or Dominican Republic, that had a giant spider in a video running at them, freaking them out. And then even here in America, we have a supposed sighting in Alabama that we couldn't find any evidence for. And then all the sightings in, hilariously enough, Fort Polk, Louisiana, where my girlfriend lives. So, and she doesn't like giant spiders, so she's getting the fuck out of there. I love Smarties. Tastes like Halloween. So, what we're going to go into next is other spider cryptids. So, we already went over what cryptids are, yeah. I think I discussed that with you guys. A cryptid is a unknown animal that that people aren't sure if it's alive or not, or if it's real or not. And see, okay, sometimes I have a hard time talking while typing. I'll end up typing when I'm talking. Any of you guys do that? Seeing spiders of Paris. Here we go. This is, I think, what it was. I think I saved the wrong webpage when I was setting all this up. So, cryptids are hidden animals that people aren't sure if they exist or not. They're trying to find them, sort of like Loch Ness, Bigfoot, all that good stuff. Jabal Fofi is an example of a cryptid. Well, there are other spider cryptids, not just giant spiders, but spiders that do all kinds of shit. Like you just saw, there's seeing spiders in Paris. There's the oil-drinking spiders. That's right, we have oil-drinking spiders. That's why we had to go to Iraq, because the spiders drink all our oil. And here we have Spider Haven and the mystery of Islesborough's up island arachnid. So on Islesborough, I don't know how exactly you say that, Islesborough, there are some really big spiders, so startlingly big that a legend has grown up in recent decades about an up-island spider living on the upper end of the island and rumored to be as large as 8 inches from toe to toe. It has red eyes. Its footsteps can be heard pattering at night. More down-to-earth versions of the legend speculate it's a species of particularly large wolf spider unique to the island. It's true that wolf spiders are abundant in Maine, including along the coast. You can see them pretty readily, actually. The tiny beings darting around sun-bleached sandy beaches might seem like houseflies or sand fleas, but they're more likely to be thin-legged wolf spiders of the genus Pardosa. One of these cute little guys right there. Speaking of cute spiders, I don't know if you guys ever saw that Lucas, gonna go on a tangent, Lucas the Spider cartoon. Did you guys ever see that shit? Maybe I'll pull that shit up at the end of the stream if I have time. We got about another 30 minutes to go. So, man, Lucas the Spider, it sold me, dude. fucking jumping spiders are super cute now. I watched that damn cartoon, and now I can't kill a jumping spider because I just think of Lucas the spider and how cute he is, and I'm like, shit, I can't kill you, little guy. So now, like ladybugs, you know, or roly-polies, I find one in the house, I have to pick it up and put it outside. Jumping spiders. If I see a fucking tarantula, though, I'm killing that shit. Like, I'm going to kill the fuck out of that guy. Cockroaches. Thankfully, I don't have any cockroaches here. I'll kill the fuck out of that. We get box elder bugs like a motherfucker here, though, and I kill the shit out of those. So, but ladybugs, roly-polies, and now jumping spiders, I can't bring myself to kill them. I don't have the heart anymore. Some spidering colleagues and I saw them in copious numbers one summer a while back on the beach at Petit Manan National Wildlife Refuge. What species of Pardosa we were seeing was nigh on impossible to tell. We would have to catch a couple, bring them back to the lab, and subject them to microscope procedures if we wanted to find out. Our expedition was part of a long down east tradition, really. Many, probably most of the studies done on spiders in Maine have taken place along the down east coast, and our week-long course in the spider identification and biology at the Eagle Hill Institute in Steuben was an extension of that long-running research. Starting around the turn of the 20th century, naturalists began inventorying the arthropod populations on and around Mount Desert Island. Their list included insects, spiders, and other tiny invertebrates. By then, it was well-established taxonomic fact that spiders are not insects. Insects have 6 legs, 3 body parts, sometimes wings, sometimes antennae, and sometimes a stinger. Spiders have 8 legs, 2 body parts, no wings, no antenna, and no stinger. And while there are aquatic insects, there are no fully aquatic spiders, just spiders who happen to live along rivers and ponds, cobbled beaches, and salt marshes. The kind of habitat you might encounter on, say, the upper island of Islesboro. Some of the semi-aquatic spiders can run across the surface of the water, and a few are big enough to catch minnows and drag them ashore to eat. Wow, that's a big fucking spider. I caught that nose sound. The first substantial list of spider species found in Maine was part of the Biological Survey of the Mountain Desert Region by William Proctor, published in 1946 following its inventory. We don't care about any of this. I mean, maybe you do. You can pause if you like. In October 2020, the checklist of Maine spiders compiled Jennings and former state entomologist Charlene Donahue, and listing 677 spider species verified in Maine, was published by the Maine Forest Service. Nowhere in the checklist is there a mention of the up-island spider. Jennings, Maine's foremost spider expert who passed away in September 2020, made studies of spiders more or less throughout Maine, from Washington County Blueberry Barrens and the Moosehorn Wildlife Refuge to the northern and central woods. But while spiders are abundant everywhere, particularly interesting discoveries have come from the numerous coastal studies. Graham, while collecting spiders around his home in Millbridge in 1991, found a spider he could not identify. With Jennings' help, he figured out it was a European hammock spider, never before identified in North America. Subsequently nicknamed linnet tree by Graham and Jennings, it was matched to an unidentified specimen found in Brooksville in 1983, and they determined it to be an invasive species of sheet-web weaver recently arrived somehow in the vicinity of MDI. And not without effect. Studies found that where the European hammock spider is abundant, as at Acadia, other native sheet-web weavers such as the hammock spider and filmy dome spider have become scarce. Meanwhile, in places where lynchry is not widespread, such as the Cobb's Cook, I almost said some naughty word there, Cobb's Cook Bay area in the early 2000s, the native sheet-web weavers remain abundant. Okay, found a dew spider eating a female, yada, yada, yada. Implications of this. We found at least one individual from most of the spider families listed in Jennings. Okay. Those found down east range in size from tiny to startlingly large. Jennings and Graham found Parata minitus individuals, which can be as small as 0.12 inch in body length along the shore, and Turcosa terricola, whose females can exceed a half-inch in body length, inhabiting mainly leaf litter in salt marsh areas. We found mother wolf spiders in the stony shoreline, carrying their white round egg sacs underneath their spinnerets. Yeah, they get a 1/4 inch, yada, yada, yada. So, there's a lot of good info here, but it's mostly just about all the different types of spiders this guy found. We're still going on about spiders. Here we go. This is what we're interested in, these up island spiders everyone's talking about. Among the photos I've seen online of up island spiders, some are clearly wolf spiders, which makes sense in the lore because wolf spider mothers carry their kids on their backs. Most of the photos, though, appear to be of fishing spiders. This makes even more sense because fishing spiders are just about the largest spider commonly seen in Maine. They live much of their lives hunting on and near water. They sometimes wander into human habitations. I woke one night to see a huge female on the bedroom wall a few inches from my face. It is extremely unlikely that a unique spider species lives only one end of Islesboro, and very likely that most sightings of the up island spider are of fishing spiders, perhaps an arachnid specialist assured a journalist some years ago. And just to reassure you, even the largest spiders you're apt to see among the boulders, beaches, and backwoods of Maine's coast are extremely unlikely to bite you. Well, that's good to know. So, very rounded take on the up island spiders. Supposedly a mystery spider that is that lives in Maine that people talk about on Islesboro. A specific species of wolf spider is what he claims they are. So that's a little anticlimactic. Unexciting. Encyclopedia. Ooh, this one's kind of interesting. I like this one. Well, we'll get into the reason why. The chafe spider, or Bueno Vista giant spider. So, the Bueno Vista giant spider is an alleged type of arachnid reported at various dates in the 19th and early 20th century. It is said by locals to have been helpful pest control as village pets, having produced fine silk as a thread substitute and having quality skin good for leather products. Okay. The first report was published in an issue of the Family Herald of London, England in 1887. Although this clipping is widely unavailable, a copy was provided by the Salida Mail, issued by Walter Hyman and published on October 6 in 1911. In this article, the original print is quoted. The chafe spider is described as a pleasant, distinct type of arachnid that inhabited a cave near Bueno Vista, Chaffee County, Colorado. And that is why I like this particular spider, because it's in Colorado. This is Colorado's. I lived in Colorado, in Denver, in surrounding areas for 8-9 years, and I love Denver. Denver is my favorite city in the world. I live in Nashville now, but Denver's still the most beautiful city I've ever lived in. And this is Colorado's very own cryptid spider. As of 1887, the eldest locals are said to have solemnly vouched for the existence of these creatures. The cave, no name given, is reported to have been discovered in 1868 by pioneers en route to California, who obtained and used the webs from this arachnid as substitute for thread. Description. The chafe spider is described as having numerous populations. The largest individuals have legs up to 4 inches in length and a body as long as a canary, roughly 4 to 5 inches. The individuals in the cave are known to buzz loudly day and night, which is a product of the web weaving process. In 1871, an unmentioned group of researchers are alleged to have tested the webbing, revealing it to be a fine silk. Additionally, the skins are pliable, and do not require tanning, making for good material for gloves. Reports describe the capture and taming of these spiders, who were house pets and greatly admired by families. As pest control, they are superior to cats because they pursue mice into tight spaces and walls. Explanations. The clippings in the Saladina Mail notes that the original printing of the story is possessed by the Saladina man, no name given, possibly Hyman, and is creating quite a deal of amusement among the people of this town and in the county. If amusement is to be taken literally, it is possible that the chafe spider is a joke. That's probably what it is. Here's the original newspaper clipping. The story of the chafe spider. And you can read down that. That's the, that just basically, everything that we just read comes from that article. So this article is basically the only source they have on the chafe spider, the Bueno Vista giant spider. Not that giant, again, 4 inches, so like that. That's still a big spider. I wouldn't fuck with that spider, but it's very possible that a 4-inch spider exists. This just happens to be a 4-inch spider that weaves silk, which I don't think that exists. I think all spiders bigger than 4 inches tend to be tarantulas, which don't use silk. And they tend to skin these spiders and use them as pets, which sounds like a joke to me. I don't know anybody who's cuddling up with their pet spider Bob anytime soon, right? Okay. The oil drinking spider. So, We have Up Island, Maine, or Isleboro, Maine. They have their Up Island spider. We got the Bueno Vista, Colorado giant spider. And here we have the oil drinking spider found in France and Italy. These enormous arachnids weigh roughly 4 pounds and are usually the size of small dogs, and were reported to have made nests in large cathedrals and churches on 2 separate occasions. Once in Milan in 1751, when one of them was captured and sent to the Emperor of Austria for display. They get their name from their strange behavior of drinking the whale blubber oil used in lamps of the period, though this would be less feasible nowadays. And that's it. That's all we have on the oil drinking spider, is it is apparently a cryptid spider that was spotted in Italy and France in the 1700s. Let's see if they have anything else on oil drinking spiders. To be honest, I didn't think I would have as much time left for thoughts. So this is just another quick one. Sometimes while wandering the lanes and byways of the internet, for instance, the sexton of the Church of Saint Eustache at Paris, amazed to find frequently a particular lamp extinct early, and yet the oil consumed only, sat up several nights to perceive the cause. At length he detected that a spider of surprising size came down the cord to drink the oil. A still more extraordinary instance of the same kind occurred during the year 1751, Cathedral of Milan. That was that one that supposedly they captured. M. Moreland of the Academy of Sciences has described a spider and furnished a drawing of it. It weighed 4 pounds and was sent to the Emperor of Austria, and it is now in the Imperial Museum of Vienna. Ah, so it was the drawing that went to the Emperor of Austria, not the spider. See how word of mouth goes around even on the internet and fucks things up? The forgotten lore of spiders and cathedrals. There are always mysteries in life, so this is supposedly Van Helsing illustrates a point about unnatural life with the story of an abnormally large spider from the movie Bram Stoker's Dracula. There are always mysteries in life. Why was it that Methuselah lived 900 years and Old Parr 169, and yet that poor Lucy with 4 men's blood in her poor veins could not live even one day? Do you know all the mysteries of life and death? Can you tell me why, when other spiders die small and soon, that one great spider lived for centuries in the tower of the old Spanish church and grew till on descending he could drink the oil of all the church's lamps? Wow, that's a quote from the actual Bram Stoker's movie? That's crazy. The story of this centuries-old, freakishly large spider that Van Helsing describes as growing fat from oil lamps is likely exaggerated for the dramatic purpose of a horror novel. However, it chimes with a real-life documented source, Volume 88 of the Edinburgh Magazine and Literary Miscellany. I had to take a couple times on that one. This source was published 70 years prior to the publishing of Dracula. The extract reads, the Sexton Church... Oh, we already read that, okay? That was what we just read. It is not inconceivable that a spider or other church-dwelling creature could be able to extract some nutrients from oil lamps at the time. The oil was essentially a product of whale blubber. However, the main barrier to a spider growing to weigh 4 pounds would be the biological limitations on its respiratory system. We know this because that's everybody's issue with the Jabba Fofi, right? And then we got some clever fit pictures here. That's really interesting. See, with fact check Dracula, they're fact checking Dracula now. So this is just goes over more of the quote from Dracula. It looks like that's all there is there was one thing written about it back in the day. Somebody supposedly found something of it, sent it to some guy in Austria, said, look what the fuck we saw. And then somebody else wrote about it in Dracula. But that's interesting. The oil drinking spider of France and Italy. So now this one is even more disturbing. This is the most disturbing cryptid that we got going here. The Sabinci Tomatovic tape. All right. So you're going to have to bear with me on this one because it gets into some wild ass territory. I mentioned this tape on my mega list from just under a week ago. I had no intention of writing about it yet, but decided that in order to bridge the gap between now and March, I should go ahead and share with you the oh so lovely story of the Tomatovic tape. I hope you're not arachnophobic. Let's see, how long is this? Okay, that's not bad. We can read this. We got plenty of time. Our story today is on the conspiracy iceberg, specifically at Tier 4. The name is the first thing I'd like to point out. I can't find a precise origin for it, but there are two explanations for it. The first is that it's the name of the woman who appears in the titular tape. The second comes from a comment that I saw in the video that Dead Rabbit Radio did for this story. Someone said that the name translates to tomato sandwich. Albeit the words are backwards in the name. I can't confirm this, but if anyone who speaks Serbian can verify this, I'd appreciate this. Tomato sandwich. What was the name again? Sabinci Tomatovic. Oh, maybe. Okay, now then, the story behind this tape is one that reportedly dates back to the early days of the internet. As such, I traveled to 4chan for it, and as luck would have it, I was able to find a good amount of information and even a gif of human Spider-Woman being quite kinky. Never changed. Thanks, person never changed. Supposedly, there was an Australian-Serbian porn actress who, according to some, is named Sabinci Tomatovic. I will call her by this name for the sake of the consistency, who told some of her friends and family quite a strange tale. So this is the tape. This woman's name, the tomato sandwich is her name. We're going to call her Tomato Sandwich because I don't want to stumble over Sabinci Tomatovic every time it pops up in this story. So, Tomato Sandwich said that she had been sexually assaulted or raped, depending on what version of the story you're reading, by a giant spider that was 4 feet in size. This spider was or is a Jabba Fofi, though the incident didn't take place in the creature's natural habitat of the Congo, rather it was in Serbia. So, Tomato Sandwich went on to say that she wasn't alone when this terrifying incident occurred. Supposedly, it was filmed and was subsequently circulated. This led to her quickly becoming extremely famous in Japan's underground Genki Genki Circle. Since then, I don't even want to know what a Genki Genki Circle is. If they're distributing and making girls famous off of rape tapes, that's probably not good to dive into that rabbit hole on the internet. Anyways, since then, she's allegedly also been the star of pornographic videos featuring giant centipedes and gastropods. A family that includes snails. Well, that's good for clarification. She's banging giant snails nowadays. Since the story became well known, many have claimed to have seen it, but no footage has ever surfaced. There are merely claims of what's featured in it, which typically amounts to nothing more than a giant hairy spider has sex with a Serbian porn actress. Anticlimactic? Well, I guess if you expected something more from the internet, then maybe. To most, though, the insatiable curiosity of man overrides the unnerving nature of a giant spider and the horrific act of rape. After all, it's a giant spider. That's something we associate with tarantulas and huntsman spiders. Both, while definitely sizable, the largest generally having a leg span of 13 inches, aren't exactly giant, nor are they man killers unless one is young, has a weak immune system, or is allergic. Because of this, some still search for the video. None have succeeded, though. With that said, the story of this peculiar tape comes to an end. It's certainly a head-turning tale, one that I never could have fathomed I'd ever find myself writing about. Heck, if you told me 2 years ago that this is what I'd be writing about, I would have likely laughed you out of the entire galaxy. Yet here I am. It's pretty surreal to be frank. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Theories. 1, it's a hoax. Yeah, well, I think that's probably the obvious. Pulling the old switcheroo, we're going to start off the theories, of which there are only 2. Boy, I sure said theories a lot. With the idea that it's a hoax. Due to the lack of any video having ever been presented throughout the existence of the theory, along with no proof of the existence of an arachnid, let alone a myropod or gastropod of the sizes claimed to be seen in the video, the vast majority of people believe the video is to be fake. The cherry on top is a lack of evidence of the porn star being real, which in this day and age is absurd. That's pretty absurd, right? If you got raped by a giant spider and were made famous in some Genki Genki circle, you might as well just go the whole 9 yards and just say fuck it and release the whole thing. 2, it's real. The other theory is that it's real and its existence is being suppressed. Given the theory that the existence of cryptids is said to be covered up by the powers that be, it would only make sense that an underground pornographic video would likely be the target of suppression. It's also not unheard of for seedy videos like this to be thought of as myths, only to later be proven as real. This was the case with Daisy's destruction. Ugh, I don't know if I want to go looking into that. However, whereas that video is child pornography, I definitely don't want to be going into that. This is something entirely different. One has a history of being real and regularly circulated. The other is something that would change our knowledge of the animal kingdom. Yep, there you go. So, hey, look at this guy. I believe I'm the culprit responsible for the tomato sandwich suggestion unless someone else made the same connection. I don't speak Serbian, it was just a guess. That's the internet for you. Anyhow, I have another speculative suggestion. What if the alleged spider was actually a giant coconut crab? Where have we heard that? After all, if you're presented with a huge black multi-limbed arachnid looking thing that you're supposed to copulate with, the last thing a Serbian porn star is likely to do is analyze the creature's genus and taxonomy. Well, I suppose that's true. Anecdotally, I recall during the early days of the internet, a friend who had a few scruples about his online viewing told me he saw a video of a woman having sex with a huge lobster. I declined to view it. But maybe this was the origin of the legendary footage. I too researched 4chan and saw the Spider Woman gif and ultimately found the whole video, which was rather cheesy porn video featuring a woman in a spider costume. The things one does in the name of crypto research. Okay, here's a I happen to know Serbian, and no, Sabinci Tomatovic does not mean tomato sandwich. Moreover, sandwich isn't even a real Serbian name. Tomatovic, correctly spelled Tomatovic, is a real last name though. Even if Sabinci was a real name, it would probably be spelt Sabinci, still not a real name, but back in the old days of the internet, chi was used to spell the letter C because our Latin letters were not supported back then. Oh, interesting. So this guy goes over the whole Tomatovic name, the person's name. Well, so that's the tomato sandwich tape. Pretty wild. Not a whole lot of evidence for it. Probably likely, hopefully, I hope on that one that it's definitely a bunch of bullshit. Because being raped by a giant spider, just seeing a giant spider would be horrible. But being raped by one, that's a whole nother thing. Just seeing one was enough to make that soldier in Louisiana go freako. I can't imagine how bad it'd be to have that happen. Anyways, our last cryptid of today is singing spiders of Paris. The singing spiders of Paris were giant arachnids blamed for mysterious disappearances around a tomb in Paris, said to draw out their prey with a siren song. The appearance. The creature was first described in Ann Arbor Argus of September 14th, 1948. During late March and invariably at night, each year for many years, men and women had inexplicably been disappearing into a region of Paris known as the Tomb of Issour, now La Rue de la Tombe Issour. I'm sure I'm not saying Issour right. Without any trace of them ever being discovered. One night, however, a policeman in this vicinity happened to hear a strange musical song issuing forth from a hole at the base of a huge rock there, dubbed the Giant's Cave, due to the legend that a giant had been buried there long ago. As a policeman stood listening, he saw a young man approach the hole, seemingly hypnotized by the unearthly strains issuing forth from the hidden subterranean source, and then suddenly the man raced into the hole at full speed. The policeman chased after him, firing his revolver to alert some of his colleagues for backup as they entered the hole. They soon arrived, by which time the strange music had ceased, its mysterious melody having been replaced by the sound of a violent struggle. Arming themselves with ropes, ladders, and lamps, the policeman's colleagues swiftly penetrated the chasm into which the hole led and beheld a terrifying sight. The young man, dead, was in the grip of a giant monstrous spider, which according to the newspaper report was as large as a full-grown terrier, covered with wart-like protuberances and bristling with coarse brownish hair. Eight jointed legs, terminated by formidable claws, were buried in the body of the unfortunate victim. The face had already disappeared. Nothing could be seen but the top of the head, and the monster was now engaged in tearing and sucking the blood from his throat. Ooh. Several blasts from the policeman's gun soon dispatched this horrific creature, after which they found their colleague lying in a corner, unconscious but unharmed. They then carried the two men and the carcass of the great giant spider out through the hole into the Parisian street where this surreal incident had begun. Possible explanations. There are several explanations as to what the creature could be. Theories include 1. A newspaper tall tale, a hoax. The story wraps up with a note on the disposal of the giant arachnid corpse with the Museum of Natural History and its identity as Arachnid gigans, a giant spider. No such item was ever received by the museum, nor is that name given to any known spider, living or extinct. And 2. A real undiscovered cryptid spider, highly unlikely. Yeah. I'm going to go with a no. Although that is an interesting story. Giant singing spiders. You know, out of all the different cryptids, we got the Up Island spider, which seems like it's probably just a wolf spider. The Bueno Vista, Colorado giant spider, which supposedly made really good pets and really good leather gloves. A little more interesting. Then we had what else did we had? We had the oil drinking spider, which I think is probably one of the more interesting ones. Oil drinking spider. Then we have the spider that really enjoys porn stars in Serbia. Gets around, little slut spider. And then we have the singing spiders of Paris. So those were all, not all, but the majority of the spider cryptids that I could find, besides Jabal Fofi. Jabal Fofi is obviously the biggest, most known spider cryptid, but there are others out there, and those were the more interesting ones that I had found. And that concludes this Wednesday's episode of Cool Beans Hot Stuff. That was Wildlife Wednesdays. That was our first Wildlife Wednesdays, so I'm stoked about that. Tomorrow, every Wednesday, we'll be doing some sort of wildlife related thing, and not every Wednesday is going to be cryptozoology. For those of you who aren't super interested in cryptozoology like I am, don't worry, we'll have different stuff happening throughout the month. Next Wednesday, I'll be going over carnivorous plants. You can't see the card, but carnivorous plants will be happening next Wednesday. And then I got some other really cool topics ready to go for the last 2 Wednesdays of the month. Tomorrow, I'll be back here at 7 p.m. Thursdays, every Thursday is going to be Conspiracy Theory Thursdays. Pretty self-explanatory. We go over some form of conspiracy theory. And tomorrow's is Dead Internet Theory. So if you're interested in that, I got a whole bunch of useful videos and articles that we can read. Some people who think they have proof that dead internet theory is real, and then a lot of people who think they have proof that it's not real. We will weigh the two options and see who we think has the best proof. So hopefully you come back and visit me for that one. In the meantime, thank you so much for hanging out today. If you're seeing this video on YouTube, I appreciate you watching it. Please leave a like on the channel and come visit me on Twitch one time, and you can watch us live and join in the conversation with, right now, me and my cutie pie are the only two here. So come join us in conversation as we talk about and research some really cool shit. In the meantime, you guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye.